Well, hello, my name is Christopher Scott and I'm a small groups pastor of a local church. And in this video, I want to give you a brief 5-minute introduction to the book of Acts. Okay, a brief 5-minute introduction to the book of Acts. I usually say 5 minutes. This is a big book, so it might be a little longer than 5 minutes. So hang in there with me, all right? So in this video, I'm going to talk about 6 things. I'm going to talk about the author of the book of Acts, the audience he was writing to, the date that it was written. I'm going to give you 2 outlines of the book. I'm going to talk about the key verse of the book as well as a key theme. And then a little bonus, I'm going to give you a couple things to kind of be aware of as you go through the book, maybe with a Bible study group or anything like that, okay? So let's talk about the author. The author of the book of Acts is Luke. And we know that Luke was a doctor based on Colossians 4:14. And we know that he was a companion of Paul, right? He traveled with Paul during Paul's ministry. And we know that from Acts 16:10 and following verses, okay? And so Luke wrote the book of Luke, obviously, the Gospel of Luke, and the book of Acts. And we know that from early church fathers that read this book and described who authored it, right? People that lived, 2,000 years ago that were a lot closer to the book being written and who know who wrote it, right? These are guys like Irenaeus, Tertullian, Origen, Clement of Alexandria, as well as 2 documents that were written shortly after the book of Luke, such as the Muratorian Canon, talks about Luke writing Acts, as well as the Marcionite prologue to the Gospel of Luke. The anti-Marcionite prologue to the Gospel of Luke all talk about Luke being the author of the book of Acts, right? So that's who wrote the book of Acts. The audience of the book of Acts was a Gentile, Theophilus, right? So Luke is a Gentile, writing to a Gentile named Theophilus, likely writing for all Gentiles everywhere, right? So I like to remember the book of Acts and the Gospel of Luke, right? They're both written by the same guy to the same audience. They're about a Gentile writing to a Gentile for all Gentiles, okay? So Luke is a Gentile writing to Theophilus, a Gentile, for all Gentiles everywhere, to learn about who Jesus Christ was in the Gospel of Luke and how the New Testament church started in the book of Acts, okay? The date that the book was written probably is in the 60s, somewhere in the 60s, and just AD, after death, AD. Jesus Christ likely died and resurrected in 33 AD, and then John wrote the book of Revelation in 95 AD, okay? So that kind of gives you the bookends right there, 33 AD and 95 AD. The book of Acts was written in the 60s, right in there. And we know that books like Galatians and James likely were written in 49 or 50, so there's a couple of New Testament letters circulating at that time, right? So the book was likely written in the mid-60s right there, to give you a little feel for it. So there's 2 good outlines for the book of Luke that I like, or the book of Acts that I like. One is a ministry outline, and then the other one is an ethnic outline. The ministry outline starts with the first 10 chapters are about the ministry of Peter. Chapters 1 through 12 are the ministries of Peter, and then chapters 13 through 28 are the ministries of Paul, right? That's the ministry outline. Chapters 1 through 12 are about Peter. Chapters 13 through 28 are about Paul. Then there's the ethnic outline of the book of Acts. It talks about how the first 10 chapters are about the gospel being directed to the Jews, and then chapters 11 through 28 are the gospels directed to the Jews and the Gentiles, kind of primarily to the Gentiles, right? So that's an ethnic outline. Chapters 1 through 10 to the Jews, chapters 11 through 28 to the Jews and mostly the Gentiles, okay? A key verse for the book is chapter 1, verse 8, right? Acts 1:8 is a good key verse of the book and summarizes what the book is about. And it's where Jesus says, just before he goes to heaven, he says, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses, telling people about me everywhere, in Jerusalem, throughout Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth," right? So that's what the book of Acts is primarily about, is about Jesus leaving, the Holy Spirit coming on these apostles, and them spreading the gospel and establishing the New Testament church. And that's the theme of the book, as well as the expansion of the church into the world. And I'm adapting that outline, the key verse and the theme from Warren Wiersbe from his, he has 2 great commentaries. One is on chapters 1 through 12 of Acts, Be Dynamic, the Power of God's People. And the other one is Be Daring, Put Your Faith Where the Action Is. It's 2 volumes. They're about $15 each on Amazon. I'll put a couple links in the description below if you might like to get those commentaries. If you want to do a Bible study with your small group on Acts, Wiersbe also has this great Bible study guide on the book of Acts. I'm going to put the links down there in the description. They're affiliate links, so if you click on anything, I do get a small commission for what you purchase, so just so you know. Additionally, when you study the book of Acts, you need to be a little bit aware of miraculous gifts, okay? So the book of Acts talks about prophecy, speaking in tongues, doing miraculous healings, things like that. And there's some people that believe those gifts are still active in the church today. And there's some people that believe that those gifts are not, that they cease to exist, that they ended with the New Testament church and the apostles, okay? So that's just something you need to be aware of. Wiersbe has some great material on that, on the gifts. In his first commentary on Acts 1 through 12, chapters 1 through 12, if you look at pages 36 and 37, pages 82 through 85, pages 154 through 155, and then if you go to his second commentary, if you go to pages 85 and 86, he talks about the gifts of the Spirit, how some of those gifts have probably died out, and why we believe those gifts don't exist today. But that's just something you need to be a little bit aware of. Additionally, when you look at the book of Acts, it's tough to figure out where Paul's letters fit into the 28 chapters of the book of Acts. So don't really spend your time on that. Don't worry about it. It's difficult. Scholars spend years and years and years debating that, but it's not really something that really helps people grow. So I wouldn't spend too much time on that. My name's Christopher Scott. Hope this has been a helpful video for you to give you a brief introduction to the book of Acts. If you want to subscribe to my channel and get updates on future videos, you can do that up there. If you want to learn how to use the Warren Wiersbe Bible Study Guide in the small group for the book of Acts, you can find that video up there. If you want some 5-minute introductions to other books of the Bible, I got those down there, and then some small group facilitator helps down there. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you again on another video.